Dick Cheney is getting ready for 2016. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal published this weekend, the former vice president said he's gearing up for a policy push that he hopes will influence the presidential debate. With a new book and political group he's launching with his daughter, Cheney says the goal is to make the case for the country to be more assertive on the world stage. Democrats claim to be overjoyed that the former vice president is back on the political stage. Mark, my question for you, are they right to be?
Well, there's no doubt that he's a divisive figure on the one hand. On the other hand, he can raise a lot of money. But I think he's much as aggressive as Dick Cheney wants to be. He's not going to be a dominant figure the way he once was. And he will largely be trumpeted by Democrats and used by Republicans to raise money, but not dominant.
I agree with that. Look, I mean, the only thing you need to know about where the Republican Party is with respect to Dick Cheney is the fact that in 2008, they didn't want him at their convention. In 2012, they didn't want him at their convention. Those were closer to when he was actually in power than now. And the party has drifted on issues that he most cares about, like the Iraq War, as we saw in the debate over if we knew now what you knew then, or if you knew then what you know now. The party is not where he is. And so I think, you know, there are a few candidates. We'll talk about Jeb Bush in a second. But largely, I think he will be a peanut gallery here and not a main player.
There's one scenario where I think he becomes a bigger figure, which is if foreign policy starts to fall apart. If Iran nuclear negotiations go away, that makes President Obama looks weak. If ISIS takes Baghdad, say, if there's a real sense of even greater chaos than there's been, then I think Dick Cheney has an opportunity to step forward and say, I know better. He'll still be polarizing and divisive, but he would have a bigger voice because people would want to hear from him.
He's still, for a lot of people, he is Darth Vader, and he's going to stay Darth Vader. And look, what we've seen in this NSA debate is that the party, not just the establishment, not just the candidates, but the party in general is not, there's not that much appetite for Dick Cheney-style military adventurism. I will say that with the trouble that we saw Jeb Bush having answering those questions about Iraq, he's the one person who could really be thrown into fits by Dick Cheney. It's not inconceivable that he'll end up in an argument with Dick Cheney at some point, either between people on his staff or with Cheney.
On the other hand, Cheney in the Wall Street Journal interview said the question shouldn't be about the original invasion. The question should be about did President Obama make a mistake withdrawing troops from Iraq? That is a question Republicans feel more comfortable talking about.
But that is the Bush campaign. That's also Jeb Bush's kind of talking point on this, so it's all Republicans want to shift to. But that's not going to make the question go away. No. And if Jeb Bush is trying to distance himself from his brother on various fronts, and Cheney keeps putting himself in the foreground, that's not what Jeb Bush wants to be dealing with in the context of his campaign.
Welcome back, Mr. Vice President.